Now that you have the telescope out of the car, it's time to use it outdoors. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you have something to kneel on, a piece of cardboard or something like that, because the telescope is so low, you need to really kneel down on the ground to use it properly. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dust cover off. I'm going to put it just right over here. And I am now going to move the scope up and down. I'm going to point it right at the camera. And what I want to do is I want to look right up the barrel of the telescope, right over the top, and in a general way kind of point it at what I want to be looking at. Okay, so let's just say I'm going to look at you right there. I can set the telescope up like this and kind of look it right over there. Let's say I'm going to be looking at something over here. I just swivel it around. I look over the top of the telescope, kind of line it up in a general way. Then if you want, you can use the finder scope, and the on-off button is right here. Just turn it on, and the little red dot is going to be on the plastic screen, and that's going to help you aim the scope. So you look through the length of the scope at that little red dot up here, and you move the telescope around until the red dot is pretty much on what you want to look at. Okay? Then, I want to show you this. You want to look through the eyepiece. And when you look through the eyepiece, you can adjust it or focus it by using these knobs on either side. Okay? So let's just say that I have sighted along the top of the scope, turn on my viewfinder, I look the length of the scope through the viewfinder, look at the red dot, make sure it's on what I want to look at, get it close. Then I'm going to look through the eyepiece. Now, it might not be perfectly centered. You might have to move the telescope around a little bit. So all I'm going to do is just look through the eyepiece, and you can focus it or grab the knob and move the telescope up and down or left and right to get it really centered on your object of interest. Focus, and you're in business. When you're done, the most important thing is to remember to turn off the viewfinder. Little knob here, two little white dots are going to be right on top of each other. That means it's off. Roll the lens all the way back in. Stand this up. Dust cover goes on top. And when you're going to be moving around, put that plastic bag on top of it. I took the bag off so we could shoot the video. Boys and girls, that in a nutshell is how you use your telescope. The most important thing is to keep it clean and dry. Have fun with it. There's two things you need to know about this telescope. One is when you look at an object inside the lens of the telescope, it's going to be upside down and backwards. That can be a little bit disorienting, because when you go to move the telescope to track the object, you're going to move it in the wrong direction. It's something you just got to get used to. I got used to it. You'll get used to it too. The other thing is that everything you look at in this telescope, with maybe the exception of the moon, it's going to appear to be a lot smaller than you think. Now, that doesn't mean it's not good, because you can find an object, the planets, Jupiter, Saturn, the moon, globular clusters, double stars, and you can get a very clear look at them. It'll just be smaller. So look at them, get a good look. It'll be a really enjoyable thing. But remember, upside down and backwards, and always going to be a little bit smaller than you think. Do not aim this telescope at the sun. Don't even leave it outside during the daytime. If the dust cover is off and the sun traveling across the sky gets in front of the telescope, it'll damage the telescope terribly, melt it down. The worst thing that you can do ever in your life would be to actually try to look at the sun through this telescope. You're going to damage your eye. You'll never be able to use that eye again, ever. The last thing you'll ever see will be the sun. Here's a good rule of thumb. Don't even take this telescope outside until after sundown.